Tim, at what point did you like have to be convinced yourself that this was the vehicle? Was there kind of like a shift? Like at a certain point, you're like, actually, this is it. Like this is the thing. Was it after you bought that property, that three family? Where did it shift to where you were able to raise money quite a bit easier?
Yeah. So, once I bought that property, like right before that summer of 19, I just really went on a podcast binge. And, I think I listened to every single one of Michael's podcasts, if not some of them multiple times, shared multiple podcasts. And you hear all these stories and Bigger Pockets and, some of the other ones that are out there. And you just hear these W-2 type workers who I can resonate with. I'm on the same frequency as them, and they're making it happen. And they're walking away from W-2 jobs, and they're talking about taxes and, cash flow. And, to be honest, living in New York City or the New York City area, investing in real estate really is for like the hedge funds and like the Wall Street type, because you can't really cash flow. Now, I'm not saying you can't, but it's very hard to cash flow in the New York City metropolitan area. So when people think that they're investing in real estate, they might make like, $20 a month, or maybe they're losing $100 a month and they're coming out of pocket. But to them, it's an appreciation play saying this is New York City. We're bound to win. So on the flip side of that, because of our skepticism that's baked into our DNA, no one is really jumping to go invest in Sarasota, Florida, or Austin, Texas, or Phoenix, Arizona, because they can't touch it, they can't see it, and then they have to trust somebody enough to hand over, 50,000, or invest, I should say, 50,000, 100,000 with them. So there's just like that. There's that limiting belief mindset that is kind of like easy to overcome. But you have to take a little bit of action. You can only take in so much content. You can only read so many books. Eventually, you just have to take the training wheels off, get into it, and build your parachute on the way down.
I think a lot has to do with belief. If you think about it, if you don't believe you can do something, why would you ever take any kind of action? It doesn't make any sense. If it's a hopeless case, no one's going to do something, because what's the point? Therefore, you have to have some kind of belief that you can do it, even like a spark big enough that allows you to take action. And it sounds to me like you developed that belief like step by step, but it happened maybe, sequentially. Like, what is it when you started developing a belief step by step that you can do that? Do you remember like what happened?
Well, yes. I mean, I started to actually do the work. I started to see some of the returns. I did a little better on my taxes. And then all of a sudden, instead of investing into the property, I actually invested in that first syndication with my coach, but also very quickly, I invested another, sum of money into a syndication with a pretty big, well-known syndicator in Texas. And every month I get 291.67. It's just in my account, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, holy cow, and I couldn't wait to get my first K1, and I get the first K1 statement at the end of the year, and I give it to my accountant, and he's like, holy Christmas, how did you get this, And well, it's funny you asked. It's a cost segregation study, and the bonus depreciation, and now I just find myself loving to talk about all of this. But I think it was just coming out of that comfort zone, knowing that other people in my network were doing this thing. And they were successful. So how could I not be successful, right? You gotta vet your sponsor, you gotta vet the deal, everything that you guys talk about. But at the end of the day, this is a tried and true wealth building vehicle that just makes a ton of sense, especially for that W-2 employee who might be too busy or not have enough time to do it on his own.
So Tim, you're working a full-time job, at the same time as you're dabbling in real estate. How did you find the time?
Good question. So when I first bought that 3-family house, I was rehabbing the first floor unit. And, a lot of firefighters are super handy, right, with tools. I'm not one of those guys. I was like allergic to a hammer growing up. And, I kind of had to fight my way through this rehab. But anyway, we put new siding on, new roof, we rehabbed the first floor unit. And my wife said to me, she goes, Tim, I thought you were going to do real estate maybe because you were going to like cut back on the nursing and spend some more time with the family, but you're now doing firefighting, nursing, and rehabbing the unit. You're never home. And I just said, babe, patience, it's going to come, you just got to put in the reps now. But very quickly, like I said, when I started cash flowing, I really had to make a decision. I said, this is the viable business, and I just had to walk away. So I walked away from my nursing side job. Essentially, nursing has been my side hustle for 8-9 years, and I went all in on multifamily real estate. And now, I mean, it's been incredible. But in a year's time, I've now done 5 syndications worth over 100 million. And north of 720 units. So it's been incredible.
Well, you're about to raise $2.5 million for that 5th syndication, right? If I remember our conversation right.
Yes.
How did you get to that point from in your mind, I can't raise $200 to now raising $2.5 million? What has transpired for you to do that?
So, Michael, I don't know if it was your podcast or somebody else's. I think it was yours. Somebody had said something about if nobody knows what you're doing, then you're not going to be able to do it. So they said, you have to start telling people what you're doing, whether that's social media, whether that's just having conversations. And we just started telling our friends and our family, listen, we're investing in real estate. Here's what we're doing. This is the blueprint. This is what a sample deal looks like. Then very quickly, we needed to establish a thought leadership platform. So I had no idea what that even meant, a thought leadership platform. And once I found out that, you got to put content out, you have to become that leader in the space where people can turn to and say, how am I going to make money in real estate? Oh yeah, Tim Lyons, he does something in real estate. Let me go call him. So we started putting out blog posts. We started getting onto podcasts and telling our story. And, in the beginning, it seems kind of tedious and a lot of work and, oh my God, a blog post. But all of a sudden, we start putting blog posts out on social, LinkedIn, Facebook, right? And now people are inboxing you. And then now they want to get on a phone call with you. And then you get on a phone call. And I mean, it was the most incredible thing. And I found that I just loved talking to investors. I loved educating them if they had no idea, or if they were seasoned investors, just kind of telling them what we're doing. And I was having all these great conversations. And it was all because we literally just told people what we were doing.
So you've come a long way in a short period of time, but you really kind of started off almost from like nothing, especially from a mindset perspective, right? And so what is, I mean, just amazing in a short period of time. And anyone watching, listening to this, should really be inspired by your story, because a lot of people are, where you were a couple of years ago, and you don't have that belief. You don't even know what's possible. And you can't certainly, even if you read a book about it, you can't certainly see yourself doing those things. That might have worked for somebody else, but not for you. So what are some of the lessons you can think of right now for someone that is maybe in your position that you were 2 years ago? What would you're sitting across from that, having a cup of coffee or something like that. What would you advise that person?
I mean, in a nutshell, over a cup of coffee, I would say, listen, it all starts with education, because, when it comes to investing, people want certainty and they want a sure thing. But unfortunately, I don't care who you talk to, there's really no certainty or sure things out there. Everything comes with a risk. But the antidote to fear is education. So the more you read, listen to podcasts, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do or have been successful at doing that thing. I mean, I think somebody had said, like, once you have it 70% figured out, you kind of just got to go with it, because you're never going to know everything. You're never going to, if you needed a PhD every time you needed to learn something, nothing would ever get done. So education, and then you got to take that action, right? And then as you're taking that action, you're just going to learn so much more doors open, more opportunity comes your way. And you know what, to be honest, you get in the circle with other people, and amazingly, all of a sudden your deal flow increases, your knowledge increases. So, that's really what I would kind of start with. 100%.